I'm doing great. How about you guys?
Good. And can you confirm that you're over 18 before we get started?
Yes, yes, I'm over 18. I'm actually
Okay,
turning 20 tomorrow.
Oh, right on.
tomorrow?
Yeah,
Happy
Yeah,
birthday.
happy birthday.
thank you.
Yeah, so are you which are do you believe
Where
in
are
a
you on the
God?
belief spectrum? Just
Yeah.
get us started. You can start the conversation. We'll go from there.
Yeah, I'm a Christian. I'm a
Okay.
Christian. My name is actually David. I don't know if
David, is
you
that okay if
knew.
we call
Yeah,
you
David.
that?
Sure,
I'm
sure.
Adele. It's Josh.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. So, yeah, I'm a Christian.
Very cool. So what is the reason why you think why do you think that we as former Christians should still believe in Christianity? Like what's the best reason to believe in Christianity?
Okay, before I answer your question, can I
Yeah,
say something quickly?
absolutely.
Yes.
First of all, well, little backstory. I was born Christian. So
Okay.
it's a little bit, um, the biggest reason why, or should I say, the biggest factor that contributes to the fact that I'm still Christian today. So let's get that out of the way.
Sure.
Second,
That actually makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
Second thing is, I don't believe I can convince you to believe in God. I only think that the Holy Spirit can convince you. I can only share with you the truth, sow a seed, and it goes from there. You accept the truth or you don't.
So I also I was raised a Christian.
Okay.
And one of an interesting thing that sticks in the back of my mind that always kind of stuck in the back of my mind later in life, once I kind of like left Christianity,
Mm-hmm.
was that and by the way, I really appreciate your honesty. Thank you very
Mm-hmm.
much. That's really great. I was in my grandparents' house, and I think I was around 8 years old, but I remember asking my grandma. I was like, okay, if we grew up in another country where
Mm-hmm.
it was predominantly like not Christian and
Yeah.
our family was not Christian,
Mm-hmm.
would we still be Christian? And she really didn't have an answer. It was more of like a, well, it's just who we are type of thing. And that's how I was kind of raised. So that's why I kind of believed mostly. But like, anyway, that's where kind of I came from as far as like in my original journey. But
You know the funny thing, sir? I asked my father the same exact question. I asked
Really?
him, what
yeah,
if we were, I mean, we are Christians. What if we were born, I don't know, in
In a
India? Would
Muslim
we be
country?
Hindu? Yeah. Would we
Yeah.
yeah.
be
Yes.
Muslim? And he
100%.
said, he said, he said, yeah, maybe. Well, I'm Christian. I believe in Jesus. So that's when I knew, like, okay, this faith thing, I need to make my own research, actually find the truth and not just believe blindly what I'm told because I'm born in it.
Yeah.
So we have the same exact story, I can say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, that's very interesting. So
Hmm.
you know you were born into it. So you already know that you kind of were like
I have a
influenced.
bias to believe, yes.
Yes, and you were influenced by your family and your loved ones and your
Yes.
community, and it's very meaningful to you.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm aware of that. Definitely.
Yeah, okay. So to you right now as an adult, like what is the most convincing thing to you?
Okay.
Not as if convince us, change our mind, but just like tell us what is meaningful or convincing to you, just so that we can
Yeah.
like hear it and
Okay.
talk about it.
Yeah, let me give you just a quick, should I say, summary. First of
Yeah,
all,
Yeah. Absolutely.
there needs to
absolutely.
be a belief that there is a God. I believe there's a God. I don't know if you believe there's a God or you don't even. Should I start from there or I should start from Christianity?
Let's say that there is a God and move
Okay.
towards Christianity because I can't say whether or not for sure there is or not, but I
Okay.
do think personally that the Christian God is the one that I struggle with.
Okay. Okay, if you can agree there's a God, I would have given you some I guess some arguments that can push us to believe that there's a God. But okay, since you say there's a God, okay. So now the Christian God, um, wow, that becomes more difficult because Christianity is one religion out of thousands. And I'm from Africa, and in Africa alone, there are so many religions. Different tribes have religions, different tribes have deities. So why Jesus? So first of all, I believe Jesus is in a lot of religions. That's one thing we can say for sure. Jesus is in Islam, is in, I believe, Hinduism. Is a figure in a lot of religions, and he is either accepted or is rejected. And the Bible says that Jesus is the truth, the way, the truth, and the life. That's John 14:6. And there's one theory that I have in my mind that is not really discussed often, is the fact that how to say this? Give me 1 second. I'm just trying to put words together.
Yeah,
No
no,
rush.
absolutely.
There's like see it as a spectrum from truth to lie and foolishness. So there is truth on one end, and foolishness is on the negative spectrum, like at the end of the spectrum.
So
And
you're
yes,
picturing us like a whole.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
See like a graph. So on
sure.
the right of the positive, there's truth going to the right. And on the left is foolishness. Then right in the middle is falsehood. Yes, that's the right word, falsehood. So now, what do I mean by that? The thing is, I think you're familiar with the story of Genesis, the
Yeah,
fall of man.
yeah. Yep, like the creation
Um,
story.
exactly, the fall of
Yeah,
man. God created man, put them in the Garden of Eden,
Sure.
and gave them a
And then he
chance
let
to
a
take care
snake
of the
in.
garden. Exactly. Then the snake deceived Eve into eating the fruit. But if you notice one thing is that the Bible said the snake was what's the word? The snake was there's a word for it. Like the snake was deceitful. I
it was
can't
like
remember exactly
crafty
the
or
word.
like deceitful.
Crafty,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Yep.
now back to the graph. The snake didn't entirely lie to Eve.
Right.
He
Interesting.
told
Yes.
Eve that okay, if you eat, you will become like God because you will
Exactly.
know right from wrong. And that was
Hmm.
true. It wasn't a lie. So what I'm trying to say is the devil is not foolish. The devil is crafty
Hmm.
in the sense that he's able to mix enough truth into a lie for us to believe it.
Yeah.
So the devil isn't foolish. The devil is not going to tell you that 1 plus 1 is 3. No, he's not
Right.
that stupid. So
Well, if he, yeah, exactly. For the reason that
But
if a person did that, then
could
you would
I
yeah,
know it's
could I
incorrect.
interject and ask
sure.
why God allowed a crafty serpent to be in his perfect garden?
Why? That's a
Right.
good. That's a good. Before we get into that, allow me to finish my point. I will
Oh
answer your
yeah.
Yes,
question.
please. We'll pin
Yes,
that.
yes. I'll remember that question. That's a very good question.
Thank you.
So now the point that I was getting to is that the devil isn't foolish. The devil is very crafty, very wise and deceitful in that he can mix the truth in to a lie for us to believe it. So, like I said, Jesus is in a lot of religions, and I believe it is that way because Jesus is literally the truth of God, the Word of God. So he must be in all the religions because he is literally God. I'm not. I can't say for sure he's in all the religions, but I know that he is in all the major religions, and he has different stories in each of the religions. I think most religions say that he was born through a virgin birth and stuff like that. But the point I'm trying to get at is like I believe Christianity is the only true religion, and that other religions are not true. Unfortunately, Christianity is exclusive in the sense that it's the only truth, not exclusive in the sense that only Christian can be saved. Everybody is called to be saved, but if you do not put your trust in Jesus, you have no key to enter into heaven. So the point I'm getting to is that why I believe in Christianity is the fact that Jesus is in so many religions because he is the truth, and a religion cannot stand without a bit of truth in it, or unless it would just be foolishness. Does that make sense?
That does make sense. One of the things that was interesting to me is like to your point, and I'm interested to hear your thoughts on this,
Hmm.
is like so Jesus preached a different message than most of the Old Testament. So like the Old Testament talked a lot about like Yahweh was a jealous God, a vengeful God, which is
Hmm.
a I'm not condemning that
Yeah,
at
sure,
this
sure, sure.
point.
No,
I'm not
feel free,
condemning
feel free.
that.
I won't
But
get
but
offended by anything you say, by the way. Feel
yeah, oh,
free.
thank you. I appreciate that. And I won't be offended by anything you say. Just so
Sure.
you
Yeah.
know. Like it was interesting to me that like the God of the Old Testament was so much different in his demeanor than Jesus in the New Testament. And what was interesting is that the Jesus of the New Testament was
Hmm.
bringing about like new and, dare I say, modern, because it was like, zero,
Hmm.
CE,
Yeah.
right? But like, in that zone, he was bringing like modern like philosophy
Hmm.
to an age like late Bronze Age, like Old Testament God that was all about like, you know, women as I mean, technically the women as property thing kind of continued a little bit, but like the
It
slavery
got a little better.
thing and like the genocide thing that the God of
Killing
the Old
babies.
Testament was doing. But what was interesting to me is like you had before Jesus, like way before Jesus, and this is where I'm interested in your thoughts. If you think that like Jesus somehow like as a god was like influencing religions before he showed up on earth, and I'm not putting words in your mouth, but I'm interested in this
Yeah.
because I
Sure.
tried to I debated about this in my own mind when I was a Christian. But like you had like Confucius, who came before Jesus, teaching things like Jesus taught, and you had Buddha coming like hundreds of years before Jesus, teaching things that Jesus taught. And then like even Hillel, who was like a famous Jewish rabbi who came 100 years before Jesus, who literally said, "Do unto others as you would have them do unto you." And then Jesus like repeated it 100 years later, and everyone's like, "Oh, Jesus is amazing." And to me, I'm like, well, wait a minute. What if he was just another like Buddha, Confucius, Hillel, a non like militant like leader who came up and moved people, like a teacher?
Yeah. Okay. I think you have a similar description of Jesus like Muslims. You see him as a good prophet, a wise man that could save people. Not save people, but like
Yeah.
enlighten
Yeah,
people.
enlighten people. I think, I mean, I would agree with that. I think, I mean, unfortunately, it says like, so Jesus never wrote anything down himself. He's a lot
Yep.
like Socrates that way, right? We
Hmm.
don't know anything that Socrates wrote. We have to believe whatever Plato wrote about Socrates.
Yep.
But
Good
and
point.
unfortunately, his followers were all like very poor, like fishermen, that
Yep.
were illiterate. I mean, it says right in the thing they were uneducated fishermen. So like they were speaking Aramaic, so they weren't writing in Greek like the Gospels, right? So it's
Hmm.
kind of one of those things where it's like we can put together, I think, pretty well what Jesus taught, though, based off of like the commonalities between like the Gospels and even what Paul heard, like, and that sort of thing. It's like we can kind of put together kind of what Jesus maybe like said. And I feel
Okay.
like based off of what we've put together, other than like I didn't come to like bring the
I
I
didn't come
have,
to bring peace. I came to bring a sword.
yeah, I have a little
Hmm. Yeah.
I
beef
mean,
with the,
that's a statement we could
yeah,
discuss,
and
but
I
we've
feel
got a pin board.
I
We've got
feel
a
like
pin
there's
twist over
also
here.
like, there's that aspect of Jesus where he grew up like in that time period.
Yep.
If you're familiar with like the Essenes and like the Dead Sea Scrolls, like there was this period of time in that window where apocalyptic Judaism was rampant because they were being oppressed hard by the Romans, and they needed someone to like come up and lead them out of this hell that they were in. And it was interesting because Jesus, in mad respect for him, I think, I don't know for sure, but I think Jesus came up and was like, "Hey, I'm going to lead y'all, and we're going to take things to the next level. We're going to bring about a new order of things, like, because
Hmm.
God's going to be with us, but we're going to do it differently. Instead of doing it with the sword, we're going to do it with love." And it was just such a radical concept. But I'm interested in your thoughts on that, or if I'm totally off base, let me know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I understand what you mean. Like what you're saying is very true. I asked the questions previously. Do you believe in science? I do believe in science, and there's a probability that okay, maybe Jesus was just another, charismatic figure who was able to drive
Sure,
crowds. Yeah, there's a
sure,
big possibility for that. But
right.
um,
So
yes, go ahead.
sorry to interrupt, but I would
Oh,
say that I think that there's a lot of historical proof that Jesus was a man who existed.
true.
And I think that he was a man who had a lot of influence. I think the part
Okay.
where I question is how do you make the jump to him being a true Messiah?
Okay. I have one question before I answer you. Do you
Of
believe
course.
in his crucifixion?
Well, yeah, I
I
think people crucified all the time
I
in that time
I
period.
don't have a reason not to believe in his crucifixion.
Now, the
Okay.
resurrection, I'm unsure about. The
that's a little
crucifixion, I
sketchy.
believe, probably happened
The only reason I question the crucifixion or the resurrection is
Mm-hmm.
because crucifixions happened
all the time.
all the time. And in fact, I personally believe, and I'm so sorry, I don't, but I got to say this.
David is his name. Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
David.
David.
what I was
That's
saying.
so David. But like, Mary, Jesus's mother,
Mm-hmm.
witnessed thousands of crucifixions. Like when she was like growing up, or not growing up. Sorry, when she was pregnant. That was
Well,
right
Mm-hmm.
she was
around.
still growing up. She was
Well,
what
yeah,
we
she
think like
was young.
14-ish.
Yeah, but like, but she was pregnant with Jesus when Judas, the and I'm gonna mess up his last name, but he came in, not Judas that betrayed Jesus, but the Judas that like overthrew Herod in 4 BC. And then there was a massive Roman attack, and they literally crucified, according to the records.
Yeah.
Oh, and then there was an echo.
From what?
Oh,
Oh.
for some reason. But anyways, I was getting there were like 2,000 crucifixions up and down the road. I personally think that Mary might have had like a major influence on Jesus when he was growing up. Like, dude, don't cause another attack rebellion like this Judas who
Mm.
overthrew Herod and caused all these crucifixions. You know, I don't know. I mean, that's my own theory. Sorry, I had to throw that in there because the thing about Mary just blows my mind. But anyways, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly. I think your wife asked a question just
Yeah,
before you.
sorry. Go ahead.
I think if I'm trying to remember back, my question was like,
How do you go to
how do you go from a man who existed and maybe had really good ideas and maybe even
Okay.
convinced people to becoming a true Messiah? And like, what do you find convincing for that
Okay.
argument?
Well. First of all, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Then I asked you about the crucifixion and the resurrection.
Right. And I said
Simply.
I for sure could see the crucifixion,
Mm-hmm.
not so much convinced about a resurrection. I think that there can be
Okay.
explanations for
Just
that.
because
But that's like
resurrections are
three, like we don't have to talk
supernatural.
about all of that at once.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Resurrections are pretty supernatural and like
Right. A crucifixion is a
magic.
thing that we know happened. A
Happened.
resurrection is more magical. Right.
I agree with you. But I would say that that is the first biggest point that I believe. Because not only do I believe is the Messiah, but I believe is God in human form. He came down on earth for several reasons. You know, the funny thing, um, um, is it Mr. John, right? Is that right?
Josh.
Josh. Yeah.
Josh, okay. Josh and
Adele.
Adele.
Adele. Okay. Josh and okay, I remember that. The funny thing, I had a Bible study today, and we spoke about this. And I remember Josh said, God of the Old Testament is, is different. There are
Mhm.
more laws and stuff. And Jesus is more, on the subtle side. I mean, love
Right.
your neighbor as yourself, go
For
and
the most
sin no
part,
more,
unless you
things
read
like that.
Revelation.
Exactly. And actually, we spoke about the fact that God is the same in the Old Testament as he is in the New Testament. So Jesus, even though the manifestation of his works were less, should I say, severe as the God of the Old Testament, he was actually in the same manner. I don't know if you guys can read scripture right now.
We
Are you
can. Would you like us to pull
Yeah,
something
yeah,
up?
yeah, yeah.
can you
We
read
can put it on the screen. Hold on one second and tell
sure,
us what you want to talk about.
Matthew 22 verse 36 to 40.
Matthew 22. You said 36?
Yes, to 40.
Okay. 1 second. We'll pull it up.
Perfect. Okay, yep. Let me try to share my screen here real quick. And also, we have a couple other people in the guest box. Feel free to hang on if you want to. But yeah, we appreciate you guys jumping in to join here.
And by the way, is there a limited time so that I can
Not at
hurry up?
all.
No.
We're
Oh,
good.
No, we're
oh,
having a
okay.
great
Sure,
conversation. We'd
Yeah,
love to
appreciate
chat
sure,
for
it.
more.
sure.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, do you want to read this or do you want me to read this?
I can read.
Okay, cool. And we're
Teacher,
Good, because I
which
like to hear you talk.
yeah. Okay. Teacher, which commandment in the law is the greatest? That was I believe a young man asking Jesus at the time. And Jesus said, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the greatest and first commandment. And the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commandments hang all the law of the prophets. So, in the entire New Testament, I can say these are the two main laws that Jesus gave to the people. And these laws are very far from, okay, don't kill, don't be jealous. But if
I
we
can
actually
agree with that, but can I interject?
go ahead, yes.
I believe that there is a verse that I'm pretty sure my husband is looking up where Jesus is in the New Testament and he's saying that he did not come to abolish the law of
Mm-hmm.
Moses, but he came to
Yeah,
fulfill the law.
exactly.
So the fact that he says that these two are most important doesn't mean that he negates any of the laws that preceded them that came
Very
from
true.
Yahweh.
Very true. You're perfectly right. I was about to say
Okay.
that these
Okay.
laws are not
So this
different.
isn't exclusive. You don't believe that this like replaced it all.
No, no, no. This
Okay.
he said on the last one, on verse 40, he said, on these two commandments hang all the law of the prophets. So what Jesus is saying here is that all the laws that were given by Moses and the prophets hang on these two laws. If we can we read Exodus chapter 20
Mm-hmm.
quickly? And
Absolutely.
I will show you that it's the same things.
Exodus 20.
Yeah.
Cool.
So in Exodus 20, this is basically when Moses went on the Mount Sinai and he was given the Ten Commandments.
Hmm.
And we'll read from verse 1, I believe, to 16 or 17. And
Okay.
you will see the Ten Commandments, and I will explain how they're the same. So,
Okay.
first one, verse 2. Let's start from verse 2. I am the Lord your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. You shall not have any other gods before me. You shall not make for yourself idol, whether in the form of anything that is in heaven above, or that is on earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. You shall not bow down to them or serve them, for I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, punishing children for the iniquity of parents to the third and fourth generation of those who reject me, but showing steadfast love to the thousand generation of those who love me and keep my commandments. You shall not make wrongful use of the name of the Lord God. You shall not use God's name in vain, for the Lord will not acquit anyone who misuses his name. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor. No, 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath to the Lord your God. You shall not do any work. You, your son, your daughter, your male and female slave, your livestock, or the alien resident in your towns. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that is in them, but rested the seventh day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and consecrated it. There is
Oh, did you
more.
want to keep going down, or is
Yes,
that
there's
kind of?
more. It's
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. You're good.
yeah. Honor your
Oh,
father
because
and
it's
mother.
Oops, sorry.
So, from the first half of the commandments, we see commandments about like, you know, honoring God, not having any other God before Him, not making idols, not using His name in vain, honoring the Sabbath day. So the first four commandments are is actually the first commandment that Jesus gave, which is love God with all your heart, all your mind, and all your soul. I don't know if you see the correlation a little bit.
Oh yeah, I can see. I definitely can. It's interesting. It's a little conditional, though. Like, it's interesting. It's very interesting. It's very selective, right?
Mhm.
God is love if
Yeah,
those people love Him,
true.
but He's going to judge and strike down the people who don't, necessarily love Him or put Him first. Well, and there's like the male and female slaves thing, but but and you can obviously argue the fact that, like, well, back then there were female slaves, so it's like you also got to keep them in line.
Hmm.
But I go ahead. What are your thoughts on that?
I just the very first question that pops into my mind is why do we need to have God's perfect commandments also reinforce slavery?
That is a good question. This verse does not, in fact, reinforce slavery.
Well, it just says you your daughters or your male or female slaves.
Okay, let me give you an illustration. Two illustrations, actually. If God is actually a loving God, do you think he would force us to love him?
Well, that's essentially the idea because if we don't, then we burn in hell forever.
It's kind of like if I said, like, if
L-
Adele and I were like dating,
Mm-hmm.
and she had a brother,
Yeah,
and I went to her brother and said, dude, we've been friends for a while.
yeah.
uh I really like your sister, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give her two choices.
Okay,
Either she chooses to love me and loves me, or I'm going to throw her in the basement and light her on fire forever. It's like,
okay.
that's a little crazy. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
I understand. I understand. But
It makes it feel like
in
it's less of a choice and more of a coercion.
Or like blackmail or something. Blackmail is not the right word. It's like, uh, what is
No,
it?
coercion.
Yeah,
Like
ultimatum.
there's a bad consequence if you don't do X.
okay. I mean, yes, we can always argue about that, about the punishment of not believing in God, but that's a different case. But j just for the sake of,
Sure, we don't
this
have to go
verse,
there right now. We
Yeah,
can
yeah,
yeah,
go
yeah, yeah,
back to
yeah.
yeah, that's fine.
do you think it would be loving for God to force us to do something, in your opinion?
No.
No,
No.
As
that's
Okay.
part of
well
the
as, I mean,
problem in
no.
my mind.
I would
Right
just answer
answer.
that as a no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I agree with you in the sense that if God has to force us to love us, then it's not actually love.
Right.
So God made all these laws actually to reveal our flaws. All the laws that were given to Israel were meant to reveal that man is not good and has fallen short of the glory of God and cannot save himself. And we need a savior. Because I can tell you for a fact, all the kings, all the prophets, all the judges, all the priests have all sinned. So these laws were not given to works with the expectation that we keep them perfectly because no one did.
Oh,
Yes,
good.
Miss Adele.
Uh question.
Yes.
Do you believe that God is all knowing?
Sure, he's all knowing, all
So
powerful.
why would he create people knowing that they might not love him or that they might not believe in him or that they might be imperfect or that they might need like I don't know flooded and killed and restarted? Like wouldn't he have known to do better?
That is a very good question. But I think because he knew that, he gave us the option to choose right from wrong. And he
But is
said
it
it
really an
repeatedly.
option if the alternative is eternal hellfire?
I mean, if you're driving 100 um kilometers per hour on the highway and there's a car in front of you and you either brake or keep speeding, you have to pick one. Like, I don't think as human beings you have the power to decide not to die. Everyone is going to die.
But
That's
I don't know that that's completely analogous because you're comparing humans and we're talking about an all-knowing God.
yeah.
So an all-knowing God wouldn't have to be put in a situation with an ultimatum. And he wouldn't have to create a
Well,
situation with an
can can
ultimatum.
I
Yeah, of course.
can
Yeah.
I jump in
Yes.
Give
because
me 1 second. I'll be right back.
so one of the things, this was one of the things that like was a problem that I had, and why I kind of like it challenged my faith when I was a Christian.
Hmm.
And for anybody who's on here that wonders whether or not I was actually a Christian, the fact that I used the word challenged my faith should show you that I was actually a Christian, because people that aren't Christians don't even know what that means, right? Challenge your faith.
Yeah,
People have
and
had their faith challenged, and I had
Mr.
my
Just
faith challenged. Yeah,
if I can say something, a lot of
absolutely.
people
Go ahead.
say
Yeah,
you know, I believe you can't once you're saved, you're always saved. Now, it doesn't mean that there are not periods where you struggle. So people that say you weren't really Christian, I don't really agree with that. I mean, there are some challenges. I still
there's
believe you can
challenging
come back to
verses. Yeah,
God. Yeah, there are some periods of time where you don't believe, and you are actually on the right path. The fact that you're seeking the truth and you're not just believing something blindly, you're on the right path. So yeah, I don't believe
yeah.
people that say, "Oh, you weren't Christian." No, it doesn't mean.
I appreciate that. I
Thank
appreciate that.
you.
Yeah.
And
That's
so,
very honest of
one of
you.
the things that challenged my faith was like, okay, so I'm going to share, okay, so Numbers 23:9. I'm going to share this if it's okay. Like, see if I can pull this up. Okay, so this is Numbers 23:19. And everyone, I think, pretty much believes this truth about God, and not just the Christian God, but if you believe in like an now, interestingly enough, ancient gods, they were benevolent and malevolent, right? But most people
Hmm.
today think that God is benevolent, all loving
Yeah.
and everything.
Yeah.
So and all knowing, right? So to Adele's point, like this verse is perfect. It says God is not a human being that he should lie, or a
Yeah.
mortal that he should change his mind.
Hmm.
Has he promised and he will not do it? Has he
Yeah.
spoken and will he not fulfill it? So like
Yeah.
this is what I believe. Like I was like God, if God knows everything, future forward, future backwards, like
Yeah.
the way I look, actually, a philosophical guy that I didn't even know like about before, but he like related it to a slice of bread, to a loaf of bread. It's like God
Okay.
knows the beginning of the bread and the end of the bread, and all the slices in between. You know what I mean? Like he knows everything.
Yeah.
But then the part that challenged me were some of these verses, like so Genesis 6:6,
Hmm.
where it said like the Lord was sorry that he made humans on the earth, and it grieved him to his heart. So, this was, of course, before the flood.
Hmm.
So, he saw that mankind was evil,
Yeah.
and he was sorry that he even made them. It's like, how is an all knowing God? It's like, man, I really thought I was going to get it right this time. You know what I mean? Like, what are your thoughts on that? I'm just curious.
Yeah, it's that's you bring in a very good argument in the sense that if God already knew it will happen, why is he reacting in this manner?
Why does
And
he
I
have to
think,
react at all?
yeah, that's one thing I think it's hard to comprehend is the fact that God isn't stoic, but God actually feels and how to put it in words. He actually um wow. Actually, just to say, my first language is French, so
Oh no, you're doing
Oh
yeah,
great.
my goodness.
yeah,
Yeah, you sound fantastic, and your English is excellent.
yeah.
So, yeah.
Wow, what's the word? Okay, God feels emotions as well. God is rejoices
He's
when we
kind
do
of like
good.
interacting, like he's in, it's like he's above time, but he's
Yeah,
also interacting with time.
exactly. You got it right perfectly. He can be angry, he can rejoice, he can be saddened. And here he says that he was saddened because man became evil. And
But did
the
he not know
fact
that
that
would happen?
yeah, that's a good question. But I would like to say, first of all, that the fact that he was saddened when it happened doesn't mean he didn't know that it will happen. Only
So
like
why
the
would he
emotion
create
is
us to
different
sadden
from the
him? Why
knowledge
wouldn't he
of the.
create us to not make him sad?
That's the thing. Like God created us with a choice. If He created us without a choice, that will not be love.
But our only choice is believe in him or hell.
Not to get off topic, but I will say one thing that's interesting to me is that if if I if so so if you look in through the Bible at like the evolution of hell and
Hmm.
eternal damnation, right? Which by the end of the New Testament, it is fully baked out where it is eternal hell.
Yeah.
I don't think that there's much argument there. But it did evolve, right? So in the Old Testament, it was like you died, you went to the sleepy place, and then it was slightly baked in the new, like the first part of the New Testament. Paul has some like thinking that the physical dead are going to raise, and
Hmm.
then by Revelations, people are going in the eternal lake of fire with all the angels that fell from heaven in the book of Enoch.
Yeah.
um it did it definitely it evolved. Now you could say that it was just God revealed it over time, and that's
Hmm.
totally fair. um but I just think it's interesting, like that God would God would punish a person, a finite being. Okay, so if I let's say I live to the age of 80, which my family's male history, Adele wants me to live to 180. But if I die at 80,
He
so
always
Yeah.
tells me how
I
he's going to die
I
first, and I
I
hate when he talks
I
about it.
I let's say I live all the way to 80, right? And that's
Yeah.
like this long, right? Well, really, what I'm going to compare it to is like this long. And
Yeah.
I am unconvinced. Let's say I didn't ever choose God, so I was never once convinced, right? And
Hmm.
I wasn't convinced Jesus was the savior, and then I die, and then I'm going to be burned alive forever. ever, like the hands go past the screen, right? You're burned for actual ever
Mm-hmm.
because you did something like this. I'm like, that is harsh. Like if my kids did something horrific, like horrific, I
Yeah.
might like be happy that they go to jail. I might
Yeah.
even be happy if it was like an atrocity. Maybe they have to go on like death row or something, or get the death
Well, I
penalty.
mean, and that's a whole other debate. Let's not
But
even go there.
right,
Let's
right,
just
right.
say
But I wouldn't light them on fire for all eternity. Like that's the
I still
opposite of
think that
love.
any kind of punishment should have justification and
Fit the
fit the
crime.
crime. And if the crime is that you're not convinced, an infinitesimal suffering seems
Pretty hardcore. Because here's the
harsh.
thing, like I didn't leave Christianity because I wanted to. It's not like I all of a sudden was like, I want to do something that the Bible tells me I can't do. Because honestly, when I was a Christian, I probably lived a less moral life than I technically do now because when I was a Christian, it's like you always kind
Mm.
of want to test the boundaries a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
But and I was a good person, and definitely a good person now. Like I'm a humanitarian, so I believe in helping people. And there's people out there that have lived amazingly wonderful lives that don't believe in Jesus, and they've lived
Okay.
like self-sacrificial,
And the
beautiful
alternative,
lives.
I know plenty of people who are Christians that I think are wonderful people, and just because I don't agree with them doesn't mean I think that they're not living a beautiful life too. I don't think
Right.
that's mutually exclusive.
Exactly, exactly.
And
But
David seems like an incredible person.
right, exactly. But it's just
Mm-hmm.
interesting that like like, and I don't want to say the doctrine, the scripture says that if you don't believe, those who don't believe will get eternally, burned. It just seems like super harsh or something. I don't know. It's kind of
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah. You said a lot, and you
Sorry, go
make
Oh
a
yeah,
ahead.
lot of
Yeah.
we'll
sense. No,
turn
no,
you
no.
back over. Sorry, sorry.
You make a lot of sense. I'm really enjoying this. What you're saying is very true. First, I think the first point was how can the punishment for such a short life on earth be eternal? It seems like a bit much. And
Mhm.
also the fact that they are good people. You don't have to be Christian to be a good person. Okay, I would like to speak on first the second part, on the being good part. If there is no reason to be good, why are you good?
I love that question. So if there's no reason to be good, why am I good? I personally, actually, I'm gonna let Adele answer first. I'm
Well,
interested in your thoughts on
is
that.
that okay if
Yeah.
I jump in?
Sure, sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, are we talking about like what I think is good? Are we talking
Yeah,
about what I
being a
think is
good person in
moral?
your own words, yeah.
Okay.
Why
So
do you be good if there is nothing at the end at death? Why must you put all that
I
extra
would
effort to be a good
illustrate it
person?
with a counter question. Do I
Okay.
need to stab you for you to know you don't want to be stabbed?
Do you need to stab me for me to know that I do not want to be stabbed? No, you
Or
do
do
not
you
need to stab.
inherently know that that would be a bad thing?
Yeah, I inherit. Oh wow.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, I know.
Inherently,
Yeah, I
right.
know.
You already know that you don't want that because you know that that would be bad.
Yeah.
Okay. So based on my experience with other people in my life,
Mm-hmm.
based on my exposure to the world around me, and based on my genuine care for humanity. I care about the people in my life deeply. The people that know me personally would tell you they call me a collector for a reason. I make friends and bring them into my fold everywhere I go because I truly believe that humans are beautiful. I truly love
Yeah.
taking care of the people in my life. I don't attribute that to a God. I attribute that to the fact that I want to see the best for the people around me.
Yeah.
And I know that if it would be bad for me, it would be bad for those people. So, like, it's a
Mm.
little bit the golden rule, but to me, it's almost too simple. Like, I don't need you to spill my blood to know I don't want to spill your blood.
So essentially, you're saying you're good because you know how it feels to be good, or you know how it feels to be
Both.
bad.
Like, I obviously, we've all experienced bad things. I don't have to experience every bad thing to know if it's bad or not. But I've experienced both good and bad. And I want to try to exert as much good to the people around me as I can.
Makes sense. Just to put that in, you actually just said what Jesus said. You love your neighbor as yourself. So you do what you think is good to others.
But I think that that was said by people before Jesus, to be fair.
Yeah,
I,
Jesus was
I,
not the
I,
first to
I
say
won't
that.
disagree with that. But now I have another
Mm,
question on the same point.
I mean, that's. I mean, it's a little bit irrelevant. We could look that up if we wanted to.
It's
I
Hillel,
happen to know
Eusebius,
that
and Buddha.
that was in other historical religious writings before it was in the Bible.
Sure, sure, sure. That's fine. That's fine.
Sure.
But now, how do you decide what is good or not?
Personal experience for the most part.
So you would say morality is subjective?
Subjective.
Okay, okay. That's where we disagree. I think it's objective. I think that
So I would argue, where do you find the objective morals?
from the one who created us with inner morals.
So the God that says we can own slaves and stone women?
No, that God didn't say to own slaves or to stone women.
Well, I disagree with that. It's in the book.
It is in the book. Yes, we didn't finish on that point. But it's part of the book. But actually, God never commanded us to have those things. He just
Yes, he
gave
did.
laws.
Actually, he did.
He did command to have slaves.
Yes. And he told us
Okay,
how to
I
have them
disagree
and
a
how to
little bit.
treat them and how long to have them.
Sure, he gave laws on how to handle
Well,
them.
why didn't he just give us laws on why not to have them?
That is a very good question because God worked with people in the time, and
Why
despite the
didn't
fact that,
he knows better than that though, right?
yes, he does, but despite the
So
fact that men are wicked, he
I
still worked with
I
them.
mean, if we're still wicked, why is it different now than it was then? Like, if slavery is bad now, it should always have been bad, and he should always have said that. If he was a just and loving God, he would never have allowed it.
I mean, God did not allow slavery.
Yes,
He
he did.
just gave laws around it.
He commanded it.
When you say he commanded it, how do you mean? Do you mean he gave laws around how to keep slaves, or he
Yes,
told people to make
and he
slaves?
told them to do it.
Really?
Yeah, actually, can you pull up a verse for us?
Yeah, sure, sure, sure.
Yeah, so okay, a couple things. Okay, hold on, I can try this one. Make sure I get the right verse here. Oops. So there's a couple spots. So I was actually going a whole different route. I was pulling up a verse where Jesus commanded them to stone to death children. But
Oh,
we'll go the slavery route first.
we don't need to go every route.
Yeah, I
That's
know
what we
there's a
have
Sure,
lot
yeah,
of
all
let's
night.
go the slavery route first.
Okay,
Yeah,
slavery
yeah,
route.
yeah. That's
There are
what we were
many,
talking
yeah,
about.
there are so
This is
many
a good
things.
one.
Right. Okay, so we'll start with this
Oh,
one.
your screen is
Yeah,
not shared.
I'm gonna share her real quick. Um, can I can I throw this up? And I'm gonna make it really short. The reason why
Okay.
I believe that where morality comes from, if I don't believe in God, is that I think that people were like any sort of if you if evolution is true or any form of evolution is true,
Yeah.
certain types of animals, like herd animals, know that if they herd together, they protect themselves from predators. And if they help each other, even sometimes at the expense of their own selves, that other creature can help them. And so instinctually, I actually think that like helping other people is like an instinctual thing because it not only helps us, but it helps the herd. It's like a herd mentality almost. But anyways, that I just want to throw
Well,
that
that's
out.
a good point too. It's like, what's the best
It
for
doesn't
like
have to be a god and necessarily that like makes
for the better for the greater good.
right.
Right,
So
right, right.
okay, so this is Leviticus 25:44 through 46, and we can expand it too, but I actually have a whole list. I have a list of them we can go through. So this one says, so this is God. Now, I so if you look at the ancient laws, so we're
Mhm.
talking about there's multiple actually.
Yeah.
There's like the Hittite laws.
Okay.
There's actually the Egyptians didn't really have this. The Hammurabi laws. There's
Hmm.
there's a bunch of them. If you line
Yeah.
them all up, they're very very similar. So like what's interesting, and to your point, which I agree with, you
Yeah.
said of the time, right? So like if you're talking to the people of the time, this is
Not
how you
exactly.
address it, right?
I didn't say that it was slavery was right at the time. I just said that God gave the laws that you're about to present in order for the people that had slaves to handle the slaves.
So
Not
But
that it
so
was
why?
right at the time.
I still have a problem with that. I understand the apologetic, and I think that that's kind of the only way around it, but I don't necessarily agree with it. But is it okay if we read this and then
Sure,
dive
sure,
deeper
yeah,
into
yeah,
that?
sure,
Yeah.
yeah,
Thank
definitely.
you.
so this is Leviticus 25:44 through 46.
Okay.
There's more in Deuteronomy, but it says, "As for the male and female slaves whom you may have,
Mm-hmm,
it is from the nations around you that
mm-hmm.
you may acquire." So it's not saying just the ones that you already have. And keep
You
in
Okay.
got to
mind,
get more.
this is after he's already saved them from Egypt as slaves. So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
you guys were slaves, so this whole do unto others as you would have them do unto you thing was just not part of this verse. It was like,
Sure.
but by the way, if you acquire
Mm-hmm,
slaves, it is from the nations around them that you may acquire male and female slaves. You
mm-hmm,
may also acquire them from among the aliens, the non Israelite people
mm-hmm.
living with you, and from their families who are with you,
Yeah.
who have been born in your land. They
Mm-hmm,
may be your property. So it's not like they can come and work for you and, like, you can just give them food and shelter. No, they are your human property. And then it
mm-hmm.
says you may keep them as a possession. So this is like owning a human. You can own a human, and by the way, and
And then
we're
pass them down
we're
to your
we're embarrassed to
children.
say that we're from the United States of America, and there were people in the 1800s that used this exact verse to justify the Atlantic slave trade, which is despicable in my opinion. It
Yeah,
said, "You may keep them as a possession for you, for your children after you, for them to inherit as property." So they
yeah.
are property. These you may treat as slaves, but as for your fellow Israelites, so as for your fellow, and I hate to say this because everyone always puts things on themselves as like thinking internally, but as for you, 1800 white person, you don't do this to your other fellow people. No one shall rule over you with harshness. It's like that is just if I'm the omniscient God who knows all
Yep.
the future and all the past,
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying in this like slice of bread right here where I had a chance to like not add this law, I would pull that law out and I would put a new law in. And what would be interesting is if I did that, if I added a law that was different than the Hammurabi laws, than the Hittite laws, and I said, oh, by the way, get rid of your slaves, set them free, and treat them as equals. If
Yeah.
I was God, that's what I would do. And that's my view of Jesus. If Jesus was really God,
Mm-hmm.
he would have said something different than this. That's why I just don't reconcile the Holy Trinity thing, because I just don't feel like Jesus and God are the same person.
I fully agree with you in the sense that when you read these passages, it's sounding as if God is commanding us to go take slaves and giving us the right to acquire slaves. I can't deny the fact that I mean, obviously, having slaves is terrible. But what I can say in this passage, if we can read up until verse 40, I believe 49, I just got it. I think it was Leviticus 25. If we can read up until verse 48.
Absolutely. Hold on. Let me go. Leviticus 44 through 48. Let me go up to 48. Oh, here, I'll go 49 just to make sure we get through. Here we go. Okay, so we'll go down to 47. Okay. So
Yeah.
if a resident alien among you prosper, wait, if resident aliens among you prosper, and if any of your kin fall into difficulty with one of them and sell themselves to an alien, so a non Israelite, or if a branch of the non Israelite's family, even after they have sold themselves, they shall have the right of redemption. One of their brothers may redeem them, or their uncle or their brothers may redeem them. Wait, what? Or their
Their uncle's
uncle or
son.
their uncle's son may redeem them, or anyone of their family who is of their own flesh may redeem them, or if they prosper, they may redeem themselves. So the concept of redemption is giving up oneself to free another person.
How do you mean?
So redeem means like, so that's why Jesus in the New Testament was called the Redeemer, is
Okay.
because he gave his life to save the lives of others. So if somebody, okay, so let's go back into this. So this is interesting. So if a non-Israelite among you gets
Mm-hmm.
wealthy or prospers, and if any of your own Israelite people, so again, I'm not going to draw this back to my own people. If your own people fall into
People of your
difficulty with
nation.
one of the non-Israelites
Mm-hmm.
and sell themselves to a non-Israelite.
Yeah.
So this is not chattel slavery. When
Okay.
you Because here's the thing. Back then when it says you could sell your, and this we can get into in Deuteronomy, but I could back then as the man, because women were property also. If I
Okay.
was a male Israelite back then, and we can go to these verses as well, if I sold my daughter to another nation because I needed money, and there's somebody in the Canaanite land that needs my daughter and will pay me for her, I can sell
Mm-hmm.
her.
Okay.
But then, but then I'm like, you know what? I want her back.
Okay.
Then I have the right of redemption, and the right of redemption is one of my brothers can redeem them, or my uncle, or my uncle's
I mean,
son.
somebody has to.
Someone who is of my own flesh may redeem them. In other words, give themselves to get her back. So this is the next clause, right? It's like a legal
Okay.
clause. So basically, the whole clause, if you look from like the very beginning, when we go up to like 44, the beginning is God's law clause is you can take slaves from other nations.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
You
You
can
can,
pass them
as
down.
much as you want, you can pass them down to your kids. They're your property. Now, however, clause number 2,
Yeah.
if you need some money and
Mm-hmm.
you see someone in Canaan who's wealthy and you need to sell your daughter because you're hard up on cash,
Yeah.
and then down the road you're like, crap, I want my daughter back. It's been like 5 years and now I'm okay. I got my money. The
Yeah.
way to get her back is you can give your son or your uncle's son in her place. That's a redeemer, and you
Mm-hmm.
can get them back. So that's clause 2. It's
Yeah.
still messed up, in my
I agree with
opinion,
you. It is.
because I
It is
shouldn't be
messed
able to
up.
sell my daughter in the first
It is
place.
messed up. It is messed up. I fully agree with you. But that is one way for redemption.
Yeah,
I'm,
but why wouldn't God, if he had
But
like the
isn't there
whole
a
loaf
better
of
way?
bread,
Like, if you could make anything that you wanted, if you were
a
all
loving God,
powerful,
an all
why
loving?
would you make it this way?
I mean, we can easily fall into an infinite like why loop.
Right, and why? Because
I,
then you
I,
get
I
into
can't
Job.
have all the answers, but all I can say to you is that God gave a way out here. There is a way out, and
He gave a way out to the
He
Israelites.
gave a way out
There
to a
was
certain
no
type of
way out.
people, and it still required a
There was
sacrifice.
no way out for the other people. So here's my question, and it all
there
ties
is
back to
actually there
Jesus.
is.
Go ahead,
Can
go
you
ahead.
read verse 50 before you jump to the
50?
next one?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Hold
yeah,
on,
we got to expand our search
hold
real
on here.
quick.
I'll go 52 just to make sure. I like, by the way, I appreciate immensely the fact that you look at verses and passages in context.
And you are,
Definitely, yeah.
Thank
yes,
you.
thank you for your honesty
Yes, thank you.
and
You're
your,
welcome. Thank you, you too.
yeah,
Okay,
your
so
candor is great.
50. Okay, so they may redeem themselves. Okay,
They
50.
shall compute with the purchaser.
They shall compute with the
No, sorry, from
purchase.
verse 49, sorry.
Oh, 49, sorry. Okay, so let's take it from 48 where we left off. So even if they've sold themselves, they shall have the right of redemption. One of their brothers may redeem them, or their uncle or their uncle's son may redeem them, or any of their family who is of their own flesh may
Yeah.
redeem them. Or if they prosper, they may redeem themselves. So if for some reason they make enough money, they can free themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And again, only Israelites, right? So they shall compute with the purchaser the total from the year when they sold themselves to the alien until the year of Jubilee, or the Jubilee year, which was every 7 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
The time they were
The
with the
price of the sale.
owner shall be rated
Oh,
as the
sorry.
time of the hired laborer. So this is great because this is, again, another excellent law clause where it's like it's calculating the amount of payment
Mm-hmm.
that it takes to free a slave, a human property that an Israelite sold into a non-Israelite community. So again, keep in mind, this is only Israelites selling humans into
Mm-hmm.
non-Israelite communities can be eventually bought back, and this is calculating the price of the purchase back. Now, the non-Israelites that they acquired from other nations,
Yep.
there's no clause about that. You can keep reading down all of Leviticus. There's no way that a non-Israelite gets bought back, sent back. They're just screwed. Now,
No,
there is
yeah, it is.
technically in
I mean,
Deuteronomy, there is technically a male can leave,
But he
but
has to leave his
he
wife
have
and
to
family
leave his
behind.
wife and family. The wife
no,
and
Which
I
is
think
family.
kind of
verse
horrific.
50 also talks about a non-Israelite. It's not only about Israelites.
How do you?
Nope, it's just Israelites. So okay, so right here,
Well, he said 50.
yeah, I know, but you got to. It says they, so we've got to find the pronoun. So it
They
says
like they is like the slave
If
and their
resident, okay,
buyer.
he's saying if resident aliens among you prosper.
Yes, they can redeem themselves
But
by
what it's
being
saying is that an
purchased.
Israelite can sell themselves to an alien, and then it's saying that they can redeem themselves from said alien. It's not saying that the alien itself can ever be redeemed.
Okay, can we read from 47? I can read.
Yeah, we'd love to. Go ahead.
Okay. If a foreigner residing among you becomes rich, and any of your fellow Israelites become poor and sell themselves to the foreigner or to a member of the foreigner's clan, they retain the right of redemption after they have sold themselves. One of their relatives may redeem them. An uncle or cousin or any blood relatives in their clan may redeem them. Or if they prosper, they may redeem themselves. They and their buyer are to count the time from the year they sold themselves up to the year of Jubilee. The price for their release is to be based on the rate paid to a hired worker for that
and
number of years.
can I pause right there because we're still just talking about the
Israelite.
Israelite that got sold. We're not talking about the person that was acquired by the Israelites. And you can go back up to 48
Right here it says
or 47.
if your kin falls into difficulty and has to sell themselves to an alien,
Right, we're talking about
once
the
they become
kin.
prosperous again, they can redeem
They
themselves.
can redeem themselves.
This doesn't talk about anyone outside of
So
the
again,
Israelites.
if you're a special chosen people that only God chose, so out of the entire earth, God chose like a little, let's say, pick a country, France. God
Mhm.
chose France. And French people, if you sell one of your children to a foreigner, you may, through these laws and through this cost calculation, purchase your child back. That's cool. But it
Yeah.
doesn't say anything. In fact, it goes against if you, France, acquire, and sorry, French people, if there's any French people on the line, I'm not picking on
he
you.
just said his native language was French.
Damn it. Sorry. I should have used a different country.
No problem. That's fine.
Canada. Sorry, Canada. Canadians. If there's anyone from Canada that like acquires someone from the United States, those United States people are just stuck. Like there's no law to get them back but this is about your native kin because God chose Canada. Now,
Yeah.
I don't know how you determine. Now, this would be outside of the biblical because we can slice and dice the Bible.
Right.
But outside of that, why did God choose Israel? It's a tiny little it's a blip on a map back then. It's like why did God chose this tiny little country and say you're the one everyone around you can genocide. Like in fact he commanded them to genocide the
Mhm.
countries around them to take the land. Why did God do that? Why did he cause them to do that?
Wow. You guys are asking very, very, very the furthest from a close question possible.
No, I
Very big
appreciate.
question.
Okay,
Wow.
so to
Okay.
be fair, David, this is the kind of questions that we asked ourselves, and that's why we're
Mhm.
like here. Because the more you, or at least I don't want to say you, the more that we personally asked these questions, the more
Mhm.
questions came up. And I'm
Okay.
not saying that we have found all the right answers. That's kind of why we want to have conversations about it.
Okay.
But there are, I think that you and I could agree that there are
Okay.
issues with the text, and we don't have to believe that the Bible is infallible, and that's okay.
Okay.
but I still need to know why I need to input a higher power when I feel like I can find it in other places.
You can find what in other places.
The reason to live, the reason to care for other people, the reason to take care of my family. I don't necessarily see a need for a God that threatens me with eternal hellfire.
Okay. I think we discussed so many things.
We have,
But
and we can cut it here.
sorry.
Like,
No, no, no. It's fine. It's fine. I will answer your question. I was gonna say that there's so many things we're discussing. I think we went to the commandments. We're
we
speaking about how
have been all over
Jesus's
the place,
laws
and
were
I hope
similar.
that we get a
But
chance to talk
but
again. I know we
no,
can't
no.
talk
That's fine.
forever tonight, and I
That's
have
fine.
no
Yeah.
idea what time it is where you are. And I'm not cutting you off. I'm just saying, even if we don't get to everything that we've brought up, I hope we get a chance to talk again because this has been
Yeah. Yeah,
incredibly
yeah.
intriguing to me.
I really enjoyed today's conversation. I'm not saying that, oh, I didn't get the chance. No, I really appreciate the conversation, and rightfully so. The conversation took a direction because there are some things in the text that are questionable. We can't ignore them, which is true. And
Right.
sometimes I don't have all the answers. I have to be honest. So, but to answer your question, why must there be a higher power?
So, like, have you
Even
ever heard the phrase "the God of the gaps"?
no.
So, the idea behind that phrase is that because you don't know the answer to something, you just kind of insert God. So, like, if I can't
Mm,
answer where did we all come from or why are we here,
yeah.
the answer is because God, because we don't know.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Instead of just saying maybe I don't know, or
yeah.
maybe I haven't learned enough about the Big Bang, or I mean, there's a
Okay.
thousand different things you could say, but the God of the gaps just kind of inserts him into the things you don't know enough about or that make you uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm kind of just trying to like pick at that a little bit to say, why does it have to be God, even
I
if we don't know
agree
the
with you. Yeah,
answer?
yeah, I agree with you. But the problem now is all the answers I'll give you are from the Bible, and I'm not sure you. I mean, you are out there like you're gonna believe me, but I will still give them to you.
That's
Um.
okay. Well, here's the thing. Okay, if you don't believe the Bible is infallible, if you admit that there are faults in it, or if you admit that there are things that are tough, then
Mhm.
how do you know which parts you do believe in and where do you draw the distinctions?
Wow, that's another question. Okay, can I answer the first question? I will answer
Yes.
this one. No problem. I can speak all day long about this. I'm fine. The first question, why look for God if you can find the meaning for life in other things? The simple answer I can give you is the fact that human beings, first of all, we are not all knowing. That's one. We are not all powerful. That's two. And we are not um, omnipresent. We are not everywhere at the same time. We have a limited time on Earth, like Mr. Just said, and we have something to do. We were born for a reason. I think in the beginning I was asking questions about science, and science says that energy is neither created nor destroyed. That's
Yeah, I would
science
agree with that.
apart from the Bible. So people that believe there is no God and you know the world just came from nothing, there was a big bang all of a sudden. I mean, the Big Bang does not contradict exactly God
I
because
would argue that I don't believe the Big Bang says that everything came from nothing.
I mean it came from a primordial soup or something, then
Well,
life formed.
actually, I disagree with that too. So I
Yeah,
believe
I
in the
just want
Big
to
Bang,
interject,
Big
and I don't want to
Crunch.
like
Yeah,
derail you, but that's not quite
yeah.
what we think the Big Bang means.
Okay,
So
can you
just
give
to
me in a
clarify,
nutshell
our
what
belief
the
in the
Big
Big
Bang is?
Bang is that there has just been an eternal like big crunch, an expansion.
And when a person says that, how can the universe have existed forever? I would say, how could God exist forever? Like, if you
Okay.
take God out of the equation, so this is the part that was interesting to me, is
Mm-hmm.
that I spent okay, so let's just say realistically. So if I went to college, I started arguing on forums with apologetics when I was 18, and I
Mm-hmm.
stopped when I was 33. So however many
Okay.
years that is, because I'm bad at math. Uh,
Yeah.
I spent that many years arguing about why there's a God
Okay.
and why all these things that show that there probably isn't a God,
Mm-hmm.
or that there isn't, or that the Christian God is not real, are wrong. And I spent all that time. And then the second I removed that from the equation and I said to myself, well, wait a minute, what if there wasn't a God? All of a
Yeah.
sudden it was like, whoa, all of my problems went away. Now there weren't, I can't say all of them because I can't tell you what happened before the Big Bang because no one can see past it. We can see that there probably was a Big Bang, and I'm not a physicist, I'm not an astrologist, I'm not going to go into that because I'm not that smart. But
Hmm.
but as best as we know, we can't see past the bang. But if the world is like or if the universe is continually expanding, contracting, banging because it expands, contracts, and constantly is doing this, like why is this different than believing in eternal God? Like, what is the difference between believing that the universe was eternal
And we did
versus believing
derail
in
him.
God?
He was on a path, and I just wanted to
Oh
clarify
yeah,
that we
sorry.
don't believe that the Big Bang means everything came from nothing all at once.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Good point.
So we can pin that. If you can remember your train of thought, I'd like to get back to it.
Yeah, that was my.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You were. I think you asked one question, then you asked another one. The first one was
I
why
did.
find God? If you can find me
Why
another
insert
question.
God if it could be anything?
Yeah, and the second question, what was it? I'm also gonna answer it if I can.
Um, Let me see if I can remember because now you took
Sorry,
us on
I
a
didn't mean
tangent.
to derail.
Yeah,
Did not mean
maybe
to derail.
as I think I can remember it.
It was
Um,
oh, I don't know. We might have lost it, David.
yeah. No, I mean that's fine.
That's
But
fine.
what I was trying to say is, it
Yeah.
seems to me like Mr. Josh doesn't believe there is a God. I mean, in the beginning you said let's say there's a God, but it seems to me you don't believe there's a
He
God.
I'm
conceded there was a God for the
unconvinced. There
conversation.
could be a god that's like an alien kid, and this whole universe is a science experiment, and we're just like an atom in alien
I mean,
terms.
we could
Mm,
supposition anything
I
that
just don't know.
potentially created the
I
universe.
just don't. That's why.
I think our stance is that none of them have been convincing to us based
okay,
on the
so
right.
text
okay,
and based on
so
the evidence.
The Christian Bible is just so
Hold on.
full of holes. I can't believe it.
yeah,
So
so you're more an atheist than an agnostic.
at this
At
point,
this point, no.
Okay,
If
okay.
yeah, I would say
Well, that makes sense, and I don't have any proof to give to you that I mean that will convince you that there's a God. I haven't seen God, and I
well,
haven't had any supernatural encounter with God that I can tell you I saw Jesus Christ. He came to my room.
well,
No,
and you know what, David? Even if you did, why would that convince us more than anyone who had a supernatural encounter with Allah?
that's a good
Like, would
question.
that convince you, or Muhammad,
And I
or?
can say that to that I can say the spiritual realm is real, and
But they can't all
demons
be real.
they can't all be real exactly, and demons can also appear to humans and in the form of angels. Spirits can, I don't know if you know a little bit about necromancy, like people communicating with the
Hmm.
dead. It's even in the Bible,
Yeah,
and
sure.
I think
the
I
Witch
can't
of
remember exactly.
Endor. Yeah,
Sorry,
the Witch of Endor with Saul, where Saul
exactly,
actually
and
brings up
I think the spirit, I think it was the spirit of
Nathan.
Samuel, yeah,
Yeah,
was talking to him, but actually we understand that that spirit talking wasn't actually Samuel, but it was a spirit of darkness. But the tricky part is the spirit of darkness didn't lie. The spirit of darkness said the truth. But the problem was that that's a whole different story. That's a whole
but
different
the
story.
question is, what if it's just a story?
What if it's just a story? Good question. Good question. I mean,
I and I might interject here, David. I've
yeah.
loved our conversation. We have actually another person in our queue named David that's been waiting a
There's
really long
another
time.
David.
Oh
Yes.
wow.
So if I can say, we don't have a set schedule yet, but if you don't mind following our channel, we'd love to talk to you again.
Oh
If you
yeah,
see
Sure,
us
sure,
live
sure.
again, David,
Thank you
this has
for
been
the
so
questions
pleasant. You've been amazing. I've enjoyed
so
your
much.
perspective. But we're going to move on to the other David just to try to get another conversation before we have to go.
No problem, no problem.
Thank
you're
you so
amazing.
much.
I
Thank
Thank
will
you.
you
follow
so
you
much.
if I see you on the live again. I'll if I have time.
And please
I'll
feel free, like, you may not want to support our channel, but if you did like our conversation and you subscribe and you see that
Yeah,
we're live, we'd love to talk to you.
Absolutely.
sure, no problem. I'll
Thank you,
go make
friend.
some
Thank you so
researches and
much and take
come back.
care.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.